to The Informer. Joining me today is founder of Palm Oil Investigations, Lorinda Jane. Lorinda, welcome to the program.
Hi, Natalie. How are you?
Great, thank you. So, first of all, I wanted to talk about what is palm oil, just for those that aren't aware.
Right, interesting question. Palm oil is actually the most productive oilseed crop in the world, so it produces more oil, like on a regular basis, than any other oilseed, be it sunflower, canola, rapeseed, olive oil. It's really high yielding, and it's used in foods, cleaning products, cosmetics. Pretty much 50% of products that you find on supermarket shelves contain palm oil.
Right, and I was reading that it's also in fuels.
Yes, biofuels. So would you like to know the reason why it's used in products? Yeah. Not only is it the most productive crop, but it's also the cheapest oilseed that is manufactured. It's grown in Indonesia and Malaysia and a little bit in Africa, but it has no taste when it comes to food, so it's very easy to go into food. It doesn't actually leave a coconut taste or whatnot. It's very bland. It extends shelf life of prepackaged food, so manufacturers can actually, save money if their foods last longer. I think I said it's cheap, and it can also be turned into hundreds, thousands of ingredients because it's got a high carbon chain.
Okay, so you discovered palm oil and
Yes.
you discovered some of the side effects that this industry was having, and you started a page.
Yes.
And that was called Palm Oil Investigations. So
yeah, it was initially called Palm Oil Products on Australian Shelves because we started in Australia. But it started because of an image that was circulating through social media of a burnt orangutan that was doing the rounds. Now, I love orangutans, and all this image said, it just had a little bit saying, say no to palm oil. And with this picture of this burnt orangutan, and I had no idea why the orangutan was burnt, had no idea what it had to do with palm oil or what palm oil does. So what I did was back in 2013, a friend of mine asked all her friends to stop sharing the image because it was such a distressing image.
Right.
So I went away and I said to my girlfriend, I'm just going to research what palm oil is, why the orangutan's burnt, and went back and said, I found that it's a vegetable oil that's in foods and cosmetics. I might, have a look at some products and see whether I can start a Facebook page, and we can do it in a nicer way that's not using this image, and just share products amongst our friends. But the first post went viral, and it was Arnott's biscuits. So I've got something like 10,000 shares within 24 hours.
With your first post?
With the first post, yeah. Because Arnott's biscuits, people didn't think that there was palm oil in Arnott's biscuits because it just said vegetable oil.
But did people, when you first started sharing these images, did people understand what palm oil was?
No, and I stayed up all day, all night, researching what it was and explaining to people why palm oil was not a good thing.
Right.
And why it was driving the extinction of so many animals, including the orangutan.
So the animals affected are the Sumatran tiger, the orangutans from Borneo and Sumatra, the elephants,
yes.
some bears, and am I missing any?
Oh, there's plenty. There's the Sumatran rhino. They're on the verge of extinction. There's also, it impacts also, insects, bugs, tree species, slow loris, like bird species, everything. Because what happens is when they're deforesting the palm oil. So what they do is they cut down all the forest so that they can use it for oil palm plantations. And that then leaves the animals vulnerable. They can't survive with no forest. That's their food source, that's their habitat, it's their home. So you take that forest away, they've lost all their food. It also leaves them vulnerable for poachers and the illegal pet trade, who then come in and take the animals because they've got nowhere to hide and live. And it's just driving these species on the brink of extinction. And with even when they clear land and they burn the land, it burns all the insects and everything too. It's the horrible stuff.
The orangutans, the baby orangutans that you see people when they travel, back when we were allowed to travel, so the baby orangutans that they're having photos with, are they coming from these same areas?
Depends where they're all coming from Indonesia, yes, because the orangutan only exist. They only live in Sumatra and Borneo.
Right.
So you see them in any other country, they've been smuggled, unless it's in a zoo and they've been bred or bought. But they're a highly smuggled animal because people want them as pets. You actually see, a lot of these people over in Dubai have them and dress them in clothes and stuff like that, which is really wrong. But yeah, a lot of people want them as a pet. But the only way to get one as a pet and to get a baby orangutan is to kill the mother, because the mother would never, ever, ever let go of her baby. They'll hold on for dear life, and the babies hold on to the mother. So the only way to get her to release her grip is to beat her and kill her.
The whole image of that is so horrendous. And am I correct that we share 97% of their DNA, or they share 97% of ours?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that they're a person. It's just that they can't vocalise, they can't talk, but they're a person. You look into the eyes of an orangutan, you stand and look into the eyes and you're looking at another person. They're fascinating creatures.
So you started this page and it obviously very quickly went viral, and you've now got over 250,000 followers on this page.
Yeah, about 220,000, from all over the world.
And one of the things that I love that you did, which most Australians will understand, Arnott's, one of our favourite biscuits, one of our favourite companies. I mean, they make Tim Tams, they make shakes and all of that. You led a campaign against Arnott's during their 100th year birthday
their 100th
celebration.
birthday, yes.
Please
it was,
tell us what you did.
Well, we would target Arnott's a lot because we wanted them. They kept saying that they couldn't get certified sustainable palm oil, so they were using.
So just before you go any further, what is certified sustainable palm oil?
Well, certified sustainable palm oil is meant to be an eco-friendly version of palm oil, but realistically, it's not. Right. So it can be, but the difficulty at the moment is it's very hard to tell who's using a sustainable palm oil and who's not, because every single brand says that they use a sustainable palm oil. But in most cases, it's mixed with the conventional palm oil and it's not traceable.
Right.
So Arnott's, we're using a small percentage of good palm oil that was coming from Peninsular Malaysia, where there's no orangutans or anything and it hadn't been deforested. And it was being mixed with the conventional palm oil, which was completely untraceable. So we constantly attacked, with all our followers, we attacked Arnott's, and we used to do it on a Friday night when all their offices would close and they'd knock off, and they'd get back to work on a Monday and be completely bombarded by consumers. Their page would be bombarded, their emails would be bombarded, their phones. We just asked for everybody to put the pressure on Arnott's to do something about their palm oil supply. Now, when it was their 100th birthday, we kept an eye on what was their promoted posts on Facebook.
Yes.
And we would get everyone to go in and comment on their promoted posts. So what that would do was ultimately Arnott's were then paying for this post to go into all around the world with a whole heap of comments on there about their palm oil sourcing. And so they paid for their own dive.
And from memory, some of the images that you put up celebrating Arnott's 100-year celebrations were quite graphic.
Yes.
So they were putting up these happy Arnott celebrations, and then you were going in with the complete opposite sort of image, which
Yes.
is devastation and destruction of the forest, and
Yes.
wishing Arnott's happy birthday.
Yeah, yeah. Wishing Arnott's a happy birthday. Here's what you've done. And we would, because we're partnered with all the rescue teams over in Indonesia and we have permission to use their images, we were putting up pictures of the rescues, the fires, all that kind of stuff, and then overlaying the Arnott's promotion, happy birthday Arnott's, over all this destruction that was going on
Now,
from oil palm.
why they were saying they couldn't get a traceable supply.
Correct.
Is that correct, or
no? It wasn't correct. It
why
wasn't
were
correct.
they
They
doing
were saying that, yeah. What I think this was back in 2015. I'd set up a meeting with Arnott's because Arnott's ended up contacting me and asking us to please cease on these campaigns that we were doing. And they were saying, we only get sustainable palm oil from, Peninsular Malaysia. And it's like, well, that's not true. You're only using a certain percentage. And we will take the pressure off you. We'll stop giving you a beating when you switch to a fully certified supply. So I hooked up a meeting between myself and Arnott's and their palm oil producer and supplier, which was Cargill. And we had a phone conference, and they were saying, they said, will you stop harassing us online? And I said, well, when you switch to a decent supply, they said, we can't get it. I said, I think you can. They said, no, we can't get it for another 12 months. And I pulled Cargill in and I said, have you got a segregated supply? And they said, yes, we can do it. And then Arnott's came back and said, well, but it's going to cost X amount of money. It was under 50,000.
Right.
And then I kind of threatened them because we had an app coming out. And I said, if you've got a couple of weeks to switch over to this supply, if you don't, everyone that scans your product is going to know that it's full of destruction. And they contacted me, I think it was about 2-3 weeks later, and they said, we've had a meeting with our producer. Yes, we can move. And they switched it. And they said, will you leave us alone? And I'm like, yes.
Now, under 50,000, for a smaller business, that's obviously a considerable amount of money. But for a company like Arnott's, that seems like a pittance.
Yeah, it probably would have added about less than 5 cents onto each packet of biscuits. Realistically, probably less than that. So,
well,
not much money.
It just shows what the power of the people can do. And this is such a wonderful exhibition of what social media can do. I mean, because that page, I believe you told me, was originally set up just for your friends.
Yes.
And you had no expectations of it becoming what it was.
No, it was so unexpected as to what the page turned into. It was meant to be just a little thing for the friends, and it just grew and grew and grew and completely, turned my life upside down because because it had grown so much, I couldn't stop it. So I could have turned it off, but I didn't want to because I'd come so far that, But the thing is with Arnott's too, I didn't get Arnott's to change. It's everyone that followed us got Arnott's to change. It wasn't just me. It was me, and I might have spoken to them, but it's all the people that follow us. It's the consumers, the people that are buying their products are the ones that put the pressure on. We just gave them an idea, all the consumers, as to what to do. So we didn't tell them to do it. We just said, it might be a good idea if you go and comment on Arnott's Biscuits post. And they'd all go and do it. So that's what happened.
So you had this incredible success, and success that so many influencers and different people try to emulate. And then in the middle of a pandemic and 7 years after the page first began, you did something that defies belief, and you started the POI Eco Store.
Yeah. Yes. Little country town in central Victoria, Australia. So we had so many people looking for palm oil free products. There's so many false palm oil free claims out there. There's stores making palm oil free claims when they're not palm oil free. there's products making, so it's very hard to navigate around. But because I've been doing this for so many years and I know the ingredients like the back of my hand as to what's palm oil, what's not, I figured I would just start up an online store, and that was when everything was shutting down. The coronavirus started, and I just thought, what am I doing? This is crazy to do it right now. But opened up the eco store online, ran it out of my home, and it went crazy busy. Everyone buying from the store. And it got to the point where either I had to move out of my home or the stock had to move out because I couldn't move there anymore. So I was just boxes everywhere. And then I was looking for a place to process the orders, little country town in the middle of Victoria, and found a premises which was a bit bigger than I expected, but had beautiful character. And I thought I might just open this up to the public and as well as online. And it has been brilliant.
So
Brilliant.
how many weeks have you been open now?
Into the 4th week now. And out of that, just within 4 weeks, I think there's around, so far, about 450 local people. Right, so it's just local that have been coming in, and they don't just buy one product, they'll load up their baskets, have now, in such a small town, have replaced plastic and palm oil with better alternatives, because we don't have anything with single-use plastic either. So
Now,
we've knocked out 2 issues.
and that's such an incredible feat on its own, palm oil aside. So we've spoken to a few cafes and hospitality industries, and they're all needing to get people to sign in and do things like that during COVID.
Yep.
Is that happening in stores?
Not in retail stores.
Okay.
Because we're central Victoria and we're regional Victoria, we haven't had to close the doors. But what we do have is we have like the COVID plans in place.
Sure.
So that people have to sanitise. I had to measure out the shop, and the 1.5 metre distancing rule, could work out how many people were allowed in that floor space so that no one impacted other people. So we can have 11 people in the store at one time, which is great. And yeah, no one's allowed to come in without a face mask. So we've got signs up everywhere. Everyone must sanitise, distance, they're not allowed to touch the stock. There's no samples out because we can't have even, skincare samples out where people are dipping their fingers in. They've all had to be put away. But yeah, in a tough time, we're doing really well. I'm pretty pleased, and locals are loving it. They've never seen a store like it anywhere else.
So is there a second store coming?
Yes.
There is?
There will be. There will be. I've got my eye on another one. So I've got a couple of things in mind. So I'm not going to stop at one store. So by this time next year, I'll have another store. So I've got an area open. I'm looking. I can't tell where, but I'm looking.
Well, Lorinda, can I say, in a time where we've spoken to so many people on The Informer who are struggling and everybody's trying to find a way to deal with COVID, it's really nice and exciting and refreshing to speak to someone who's actually having a great time and a great success through this. So
Yes.
Thank you for sharing this story. Palm Oil Investigations is the Facebook page?
Yes, Palm Oil Investigations, and our website is palmoilinvestigations.org, and the POI Eco Store is poiecostore.com.au. We're currently only doing postage within Australia because of COVID. Yes. We do have a lot of people overseas who have been wanting to purchase from our store, but international, trying to get something overseas at the moment. Customers would be waiting nearly 2 to 3 months for their orders and complaining, asking where they are. So once things settle down, we'll enable the international postage.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Natalie. Bye.
Bye.